Hey guys, Legendary Grimlock here, and today we're going to be doing Can Grimlock Solo Monster Hunter. So this is going to be very different from the Monsterverse, as Monster Hunter has a lot more beings. So we're going to be giving Fallen Cybertron Grimlock here the highest level of monsters here. We're going to give him the rare species, the Elder Dragon level Deviant. And for his boss, he's going to fight White Fatalis. But before that, he's going to fight Thunderlord, Bloodbath, Molten, Nakarkos, Lao Sheng Lung, Dalmador. And for his special matchups, he'll get Silver Rathalos, Silver Rathian at the same time, 4 Heavenly King Devil Joe, and finally Sapphire Jiva before he gets to fight White Fatalis. Grimlock will have access to his Dinobot mode, and he'll have access to his sword and shield, which are basically going to cut on the molecular level as they're comparable to the Dimensional Decimator. And he will have both his lower scaling and his higher end scaling. We'll get to the higher end scaling when we hit the, the Black Dragon tier, but his lower end scaling, I think, should be simple. It's planetary to star level, which is pretty consistent with Elder Dragon level beings. And I like to give a special shout out to Prime 1, who provided this scaling. So without further ado, let's begin. Now, Follow Cybertron Grimlock at his lower ends are planetary, and this is pretty consistent here. Keep in mind he's able to handle the lower tier Predacons with ease, and he should be on par with Predaking in terms of physical strength in both their robots and definitely their beast modes here. And keep in mind these lower tier Predacons, or the lower level Predacons like Skylynx, Darksteel, Backbite, and Serket should all be on the same level here. And this is important because they're able to thrash the Autobots like Ultra Magnus. Ultra Magnus was able to take pretty much a blow from Predaking wielding the Forge of Solus Prime. The Forge of Solus Prime at 50% is capable of destroying the planet. Or at least the full power, excuse me. And Predaking was swinging with maximum force here. So, yeah, Ultra Magnus will be planetary, and Predaking was also able to break this, making him planetary as well, or at least in the much higher levels of planetary. Grimlock would also scale to combiners, as he was supposed to fight characters like Bruticus in the actual game, with Bruticus being a much higher level of combiner, being a war combiner, and being a much stable combiner. He would scale above Menasor, who was capable of destroying an entire planet system, which again is very insane here. And Grimlock himself also possesses a plethora of hacks and abilities. He has his Rage, which allows him to get stronger the angrier he gets here. And he's also capable of utilizing his sword and shield here. Keep in mind, Fallen Cybertron weaponry is in the molecular levels and possibly even the space-time levels as well, being able to exceed weapons that even can create black holes, which are capable of, well, weapons that are capable of tearing through space and time and creating black holes. So with that out of the way, Grimlock's lower end should be in the planetary levels. You could easily argue large star as well. But without further ado, we're going to head into the Monster Hunter scaling. Now, when it comes to the rare species, they should scale to each other pretty easily here. And the thing is, after actually watching Monster Hunter Rise and actually diving into the kinship attacks as well, these are the monsters' capabilities and their powers, and it actually makes scaling in Monster Hunter a lot more insane and a lot more devastating than you think here, because Gold Rathian, who in all honesty could be one of the weaker ones that characters like Molten Tiger Eggs, Thunderlord Zinogre, and Bloodbath would honestly and possibly even scale to, is capable of creating black holes, which would put them around either a large planet or star level, if we're really talking about it here. Keep in mind, they would also scale above Apexes, who are capable of going toe-to-toe with Elder Dragons. Like, it's absolutely insane here. And it's pretty consistent that they're Elder Dragon level monsters as well here, as we've seen in both Rise dash Sunbreak here, that both Gold Rathian and Silver Rathalos are capable of delivering and absolutely just clowning on characters like Basil Goose and other elder dragons, with elder dragons being known that they can possibly destroy the planet. And even the higher up elder dragons like Nergigante are capable of, yes, manhandling most of these creatures, but they're still putting up a relatively good fight here. You see, with the elder dragons as well here, some of them have been shown to be able to create black holes themselves out of dragon energy, and some of them like Geismagorn, have been able to do this. You also have ones like Sherry Ishvalda, who are capable of causing quakes throughout the entire New World region, as well as the Old World region, which is a collection of continents put together. So, without further ado, yeah, I think that would be pretty much it. Planet 2 stars seems pretty likely. So, let's begin with our first matchup. So, Thunderlord Zinogre, and this one, in all honesty, yeah, there's going to be some difficulty here. Now, Grimlock's weapons do give him a significant edge over pretty much every monster here. He's, again, surpassing things like the Dimensional Decimator, which can rip through space and time. Like, it's crazy here, right? And to be honest, the Monster Hunters really haven't countered anything like that, to be honest. I mean, his weapons are far more advanced, they're far more durable, and they're able to hit and cut on a molecular level. But again, that isn't to say that the Monster Hunter weaponry wouldn't be able to do that. It's just that they have a lot more magical applications to them than Grimlock's, which is more scientific, if you guys get what I mean. Thunderlord Zinogre does have a couple things that make this fight very difficult for Grimlock, such as his Electric Blight, or his Thunder Blight, if you will, and his electrical attacks here. Keep in mind, Thunderlord Zinogre can channel these thunder into his claws, his tail, his jaws as well. So basically, he can use Thunder Punch and Thunder Fang. But he can also blast lightning, not only from random points, but in like waves and stuff, even creating an electrical field to basically paralyze his opponents. But I still think Grimlock gets it done with mid to high difficulty, in all honesty. Maybe some more mid difficulty in that area, because he is a lot more intelligent. Now, Molten Tigrex, let's get into him. This Tigrex is absolutely frightening. I've watched gameplays of people just struggling against him, and he's just horrible when you mount him, like worse than a regular or brute Tigrex. His ability is to basically blast blight you. Like, he has this blast powder that he can simply ignite and cause multiple explosions, and the thing is, it goes on repeatedly throughout the fight. Even when he slams the ground with his claws, he can cause cause these massive explosions here. And this is something that I do think is going to be a lot of trouble for Grimlock, and definitely keep him on his toes here. Because again, this Tigrex is not only good at long range, but he's also good at close range here. So Grimlock is going to have to be on his P's and Q's for this one. He's going to have to evade. He's going to have to dodge and weave on him. And again, keep in mind, Fallen Cybertron Grimlock can still perform barrel rolls and stuff here. So there's there's no reason why he shouldn't be able to dodge all these blasts and stuff here. But in all honesty, I think the way Grimlock is going to go about this one is waiting for the right moment to get a one-hit kill. And you might say, Legendary, how's that going to happen? Well, when Tigrex runs at him with his mouth wide open, going for a bite like he usually does, and how we get him stuck in rocks, yeah, Grimlock's going to pull out his sword, actually block the first one with his shield, or maybe make Tigrex clamp around his shield so he can gut him through his throat. Yeah, I know it's a bit nasty, but hey, we got to move on to the next one. And now we have the final member of this first half, Bloodbath Diablos. And I mean, Bloodbath with his sonic sand explosions. Oh man, this smoke demon, the demon of the desert. Oh man, I don't know where to begin on this one. Grimlock is definitely gonna have to figure out that burrowing. But I do think there is a way he can get around this here. You see, Grimlock is able to create a seismic quake when he slams his sword on the ground, and this could actually help him with burrowing. Keep in mind that Diabloses can accidentally trap themselves when they burrow here. And again, you know, a Bloodbath Diablos is a much more experienced and bloodthirsty, maniacal, and straight up willing to fight anything Diablos. I mean, this thing is literally a Black Air Force Diablos, all right? But again, I do see Grimlock getting this done here. It's going to be difficult. He's definitely going to have to figure out the pattern. But I think Grimlock is going to be in one of those situations where he keeps it close 100% of the time. I mean, sure, you might say that's his only option. But remember, he has his T-Rex form where he could use his Fire Breath, you know? And I mean, that is going to be effective against the Bloodbath Diablos. Because again, I think Diablos' weakness is fire, if I remember correctly. But yeah, he's going to get a hold of Bloodbath here. And he might just use his T-Rex form to bite, clamp on him, pin him down, and start roasting him in his face. And again, Grimlock is completely in character to do this, as he's known to get up close and personal with monsters or Insecticons that are just, you know, that could possibly even physically beat his robot form. I think getting close to a Bloodbath Diablos and maybe using its burrowing against it, causing like a seismic quake to do what I said earlier, or again using his beast form, he'll actually wait for the Diablos to charge him, sidestep it like an Anjanath, grab it by the neck, and considering his jaws are way stronger than an Anjanath or Devil Joe's, he's definitely going to be able to hold it there. Now, yes, a Bloodbath would definitely be able to beat a Devil Joe and an Anjanath. I'm not going to say easily. Maybe I'll make a video on that and analyze that myself here. But again, Grimlock should take this win comfortably. Now, for the final results, I have Grimlock winning mid difficulty. The reason why is because his weapons should be very much the equalizer against the creature's hacks and abilities here, as again, they cut on a level that rivals space-time weapons, all right? And plus, his greater intelligence, greater durability as well, because he has a healing factor, should honestly give him a mid-difficulty at best. High difficulty if you really want to argue it. But let's move on to the next one. And we have Nakarkos. Now, Nakarkos here is actually going to be a very interesting one. And believe it or not, I do see Grimlock winning this one more often than not, but with obviously some high difficulty. Now, this is because Nakarkos can not only secrete a mucus, but blast dragon energy. Now, the mucus definitely wouldn't hold Grimlock, as he's way stronger than Rathalos, Brachydios, Glavenus, you know, these base level monsters that are consistently mountain to possibly even island level, especially if you really go with the lowered stuff of Ignactor being able to blow up volcanoes and stuff like that, or sorry, not blow up, cause volcanic eruptions and stuff like that. And again, in all honesty, Nakarkos is one of those situations where if I see him, I kind of see him like trying to use the heads to confuse Grimlock, but Grimlock's just going to see like the middle part just move and honestly just go right for that. And in all honesty, yeah, Grimlock could get this over with, but it's still going to be difficult here, because Nakarkos can and sometimes will use the abilities of other creatures, using an Uragon Chin to cause some earthquakes, using a Brachydio slime mold puncher, a Glavenus' tail. You know, it could be difficult here. But again, Grimlock's weaponry should be able to not only cut through a large majority of that stuff, but should just be able to shred it. Keep in mind, again, Fall of Cybertron weapons are absolutely broken. Like, there's even some of them that can cut through, if not all of them, can actually affect on a molecular level, which is ridiculous here. So in all honesty, the way I see it happening is that the fight does, you know, Nakarkos does catch Grimlock off guard, especially in his home turf, because I don't think Grimlock would be expecting, you know, these bones to be alive here. But once he realizes what Nakarkos is and what he's capable of doing, it's only a matter of time before Grimlock is able to get close, hold Nakarko up, or at least pin him to a point where he can pretty much stab him right through his mouth. or again through the top half of his head right into his brain. You never know. But again, yeah, Grimlock should take this comfortably. I mean, definitely a high diff in my opinion. He's taking some damage. Plus, Dragon Energy does have the ability to nullify, attacks and stuff like that. So it's going to be difficult. Next up, Lao Shenlong. Now, this is where I could see a lot more struggle than with Nakarkos. Lao Shenlong is a tank, his shell being as strong as a flying wyvern. Keep in mind, you can take this as many ways as you can possibly. I'm being serious here. You can take this as him being stronger than Elder Dragon level flying wyverns and being more durable, which is applicable here. Keep in mind, again, flying wyverns don't just stop at, your base level Rathalos, Astalos, and Seregios. This can go to the other, the next stages of flying wyverns. Molten Tigerex is still a flying wyvern, and he's Elder Dragon level. Gold Rathian, Silver Rathalos, Flaming Espinas, as you guys probably saw earlier. And in all honesty, what's the problem with the comparison? I mean, see them Basilgoose as well. Regular Basilgoose, which stalemates Devil Joe. Again, an Elder Dragon level opponent. And we also know that these flying wyverns I just named earlier are Elder Dragon level. We've seen Flaming Espinaz pretty much just nuke a whole Teostra, which is absolutely insane here. You also have Gold Rathian pretty much three-piecing a whole Kushala Daora. And again, Grimlock is going to struggle with possibly even damaging. Well, sorry, not damaging with, his weapons and stuff, but possibly getting him, I guess you could say, to a state to where he can kill him. But there is a bit of a way you can say Grimlock could damage him, and that's by scaling him massively above the warp cannons, which are capable of taking down Titans. So, yeah. It's pretty insane to think about it, in all honesty, because you do have this kind of scaling, with warp cannons, being able to destroy the Ark in just a couple blasts, being able to one-shot and temporarily knock out I almost said Necro. Almost said the Necro Titan. Metroplex, right? And Grimlock could easily exceed those just by scaling him off of Metroplex, But again, do I see Grimlock taking it? Yes, but I think it's going to be pretty messy. He's going to have to cause a lot of cuts on, Lao Shenlong here. But again, he should take it comfortably. Moving on to Dalmador. This one is, definitely going to have to pay into Grimlock's intelligence rather than his strength here. Keep in mind, Grimlock does have the ability to get stronger the anger he gets here. But with Dalmador, it's just like, Jesus Christ. Keep in mind, Dalmador could create a river of stars and possibly keep him there, making him possibly solar system level. And the warp cannon scaling, would still apply here, because Grimlock should be able to exceed the power of the warp cannons. As a matter of fact, he should be able to jump on top of one and rip one off. So I should have said that earlier. But again, this would probably lean into Grimlock possibly playing a long game here in order to not only overpower Dalmador, but to make sure his weapons are able to affect him with the strength behind it. Keep in mind, Grimlock has fought monsters bigger than him and come out on top, like the Razor Snake, or at least the king of all Razor Snakes, if you will, which are basically animal Cybertronians. So Grimlock should clear this round, but I definitely say it's a high difficulty. The Elder Dragons are going to be an extreme problem here. And I do think Grimlock does take a whole lot of damage going into this round, but he should heal from it. Now, let's get into the special matchups. The 2-in-1, the special Devil Joe, and the start of the Black Dragon. Now, this tag team one is definitely going to test Grimlock's combat speed. Silver Rathalos and Gold Rathian. Now, if you guys do want to count, Monster Hunter stories and stuff like that, where Gold Rathian is capable of creating a whole golden black hole and stuff like that, yeah, Grimlock should be able to tank that, but he's definitely going to be dazed. I definitely see that happening. But he still would be able to continue fighting afterwards. Poison won't work, so that takes away both the Wrath's kind of trump card here. It means they have to rely on their fire and whatever kinship attacks they have here. But I actually do see Grimlock taking advantage of Rathalos more than I see him taking advantage of Gold Rathian. You see, Gold Rathian being low to the ground, meaning she has a better center than Rathalos does. She's more grounded, she's more centered, she's more sturdy, I should say here. And I think that Silver Rathalos is possibly going to be kind of like the swoop of this group here. And I do think that is where Grimlock would kind of think of it here. You know, one is a bit more grounded than the other, while the other one's a bit more of a flyer. And in all honesty, this could play into Grimlock's strength here of using, you know, Rathalos' speed against Rathian. And the reason why I say that is because he's actually reacted to Swoop plenty of times here. You see, Swoop is capable of outpacing the Seekers. The Seekers are capable of flying through space and actually can pretty much leaving things like contrails, you know, being able to easily just, you know, move in space pretty easily. Like they're moving towards a entire space bridge, like in the center of their spaceway and almost. And Grimlock's able to react to these guys pretty easily, turning the cannons and stuff like that, and being able to shoot them down when he was pretty much before his Dinobot days here. And Swoop here actually tries to blindside and blitz him, grabs him, and then Grimlock manages to grab a hold of him before he could do anything and just slams him. Meaning he was able to basically just grab this riled up Swoop and just slam him. And then proceeded to munch off the head of Sir Cat. So in all honesty, the way I see this going is that Grimlock kind of sits in his robot mode. He does. And when Rathalos comes in, he's going to dodge, grab him by his tail, and begin to smack him into Gold Rathian. Alright? Once that happens, I do see Grimlock using this with so much force that it leaves them dazed, and he pounces on him, claiming the victory. And now we have 4 Heavenly King Devil Joe. Dear God, I think, yeah, this is going to be a rough one. Probably the second roughest fight I think he's going to have here, other than the Elder Dragons. Keep in mind, this is Devil Joe with possibly none of its weaknesses, meaning no hunger, no over-aggression. And this Devil Joe doesn't have a dragon sac, he breathes fire. This godly golden, you know, this golden dragon fire, if you will. Like, it's ridiculous here. And again, Grimlock should be able to tank that. If not, his shield can defend him pretty easily. And in all honesty, this is going to be a long one. I actually seeing it being a long, dragged out fight here, where Grimlock is in his T-Rex mode, because I do think he would honor Devil Joe that way. And maybe he uses robot mode at the end here, but if he does do his T-Rex form, they're going to clash with, you know, Fire Breath versus Fire Breath here. And eventually, I do see Grimlock winning via, you know, a close quarters combat situation, because he is more skilled in his T-Rex form than Devil Joe. But at the end of the day here, it's going to be a rough one. It's definitely going to cause some injuries here, but Grimlock will heal from it. Next up, Sci-Fi Jiva. And this is where we honestly get into like the universal to multiversal scaling for Monster Hunter, as Sci-Fi Jiva would be stronger than Elatrion, the same Elatrion that is capable of scaring the gods with his power, the same gods that created the entire Monster Hunter verse here. However, Transformers Prime has its universal to multiversal to possibly even outerversal scaling as well, with obviously Grimlock scaling to the Prime's weapons and even scaling, you know, above obviously his Robots in Disguise version, or at least his Robots in Disguise incarnate, as that would be the weakest of the Grimlock variants in all honesty, especially in the aligning continuity here. You see, with Predaking being able to go toe-to-toe with characters like Prima being the strongest of the Primes here, And with Grimlock actually being able to, or at least robots in disguise, Grimlock being able to take attacks from Megatronus's cannon, which would be the Requiem cannon. Requiem Blaster, excuse me. The same Requiem Blaster that's able to rip through space and time. There's also the sheer fact that Grimlock would scale above Rise of the Darkspark Optimus, because again, Optimus really doesn't use the Matrix against someone like Bruticus, because again, it does take a heavy toll. But again, Optimus has even considered in the novels to use the Matrix against Bruticus, so apparently that's been a thing. But with that being said, he would still scale above the Darkspark, as he's fighting against a much stronger set of Decepticons and Autobots. Sorry, Decepticons and Predacons that would give Optimus Prime a hard time. So in all honesty, yeah, high to extreme difficulty. But now we've reached the end. The ultimate challenge. The White Fatalis. The second strongest monster in Monster Hunter. The monster that pretty much surpasses everything that we thought we knew about Monster Hunter. The monster that stopped the planet from rotating. The monster that can erase you from existence with a lightning blast. In all honesty, it's going to be a long one. And again, do I think Grimlock could lose here? In all honesty, it's his fight to lose. Yeah, that's the way I pretty much see it here. White Fatalis is something unnatural. And I definitely think Grimlock is going to struggle with every bit of versatility Fatalis has here. Definitely relying on his shield here to kind of get him through. Keep in mind that, yeah, Grimlock should be able to take a lightning blast from Fatalis, which is known to erase his opponents from existence here. And I mean, it's very simple that each scale contains an unbelievable power that can't be matched here. But Fatalis is up against the King of Dinobots. I don't really see how Grimlock could lose, especially when it comes to the higher end scaling here. Grimlock could easily take on and possibly even outmuscle Fatalis at a close range. But again, that's really what all he has here. Fatalis could easily pick him up, slam him around, and Grimlock would just keep going. His healing factor would possibly even be slightly better than Fatalis, at least in a base-to-base comparison. But Grimlock's greatest asset here would definitely have to be his mind. And I could definitely see him possibly using not only his intelligence, but for him to possibly get his rage up or get his strength up to a point where he honestly should be able to take down Fatalis. Now, I do think it's long, and I do think it would be kind of an uphill battle, if you will. But at the end of the day here, I see Grimlock completing this. I see Grimlock beating this challenge at least 9 times out of 10. With only one that can stop him being Fatalis. So in all honesty, yeah, Grimlock gets 100% completion on here. But let me know what you guys think down below. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and share with your friends. This is Legendary Grimlock, and I am thirsty. Peace.